Good morning, everyone. My name is LaChris Smith, and welcome to the C-STEM Challenge 2014 and 2015, where everyone is an artist and an engineer. This year's focus is on energy infrastructure, meaning wind, oil, and natural gas. This is the Mobile Tech training section, and today is November 15th. Let's go ahead and get started. So here's a quick look at what we'll cover. We'll go through a quick about me in case you missed the first session. We'll look at mobile tech, innovation at its best. We'll do a brief summary there, and then we'll review briefly the innovative skills that were discussed in the first session. And we'll talk about how to leverage those skills based on a wearable technology video that I've identified that I would like for you all to view. And then we'll jump over to C-STEM break, and from there we'll have a 15-minute discussion about how to leverage all of the technologies and the content of this presentation to create your tech tool for the competition. So let's go. So here's a little bit about me. My name is LaChris F. Smith, and I am an organizational change strategist working in the oil and gas space. I support leaders when it comes to developing sustainable change strategies around how to improve processes and technology to help people deliver business value. As I started with the last session, I always like to start with why. Why are we doing this? Because as Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so I do this because I'm passionate about technology. I'm passionate about helping others to leverage technology to improve not only how they work, but society as a whole. And so I think that, or I believe that in the education space, there's no other sector where this is more important than leveraging your passion to help others. So as we move into the meat of the session, we're focusing on innovation. And although it's mobile technology, it's being able to make something new or to create something new, which is at the heart of innovation and actually what the word actually means, innovare, to make things new. And so that is the concept that will drive not only this session, but really drive the focus of the C-STEM challenge when it comes to creating your tech tool to compete with. When we look at society today, no matter what country you're in, but especially in America, we know that mobile technology is everywhere. We don't even have to mention the numerous amount of cell phones or smartphones that exist in the market today. But even the mobile watches now that have become smart in the sense that they monitor things like giving you the ability to check your pulse or give you the ability to take pictures or even answer your phone. There's even bracelets out today that monitor your heart rate and even monitor how much sleep you get in the evening time. So we know that technology in the way of mobile technology is really innovation at its best. So let's take a quick look at mobile technology. Exactly what is it? Well, we know it's portable, and it refers to any device that you can carry with you to perform a myriad of tasks. We talked a little bit about monitoring your heart rate. We talked about being able to identify how many hours of sleep you get, but also answering your phone, being able to check your messages, being able to send out a status update on social media. These are all of the things that if you're able to do from a device on the fly without being pinned down to a desk or to one location, then this is what we consider mobile technology. So during our last session, we covered 4 skills, what we call discovery skills, that are critical to innovative design. The first one was associating, then was questioning, observing, and idea networking. And so today we're going to focus specifically on associating. And associating is having the ability to look across sectors, to look across different types of technology, and imagine a new something. One thing was Steve Jobs looking at the Cuisinart blender and then creating a MacBook with that hard plastic cover on it. Or looking at, as we discussed in the first session, the door handles or doorknobs on a Mercedes, the gunmetal. And then if you look at the MacBook Pro that we have in the marketplace today, it still has that same gunmetal casing on the laptop. And so what I'd like for you to do is to watch this video that's about to come up. It's about 7 minutes, and we'll discuss how to use associating skills as it applies to the skill set and as it applies to the video over in CSTEM break once we conclude.
Hey everybody out there in digital DJ land, it's Ian Golden back with another video, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to, or just to give you more information about, this new concept of wearable bass packs, or bass augmentation, as some are also calling it. This is a new concept that just hit Kickstarter about a year ago. There's now 2 devices in the market that do this, the Sub Packs and the BassAware, and basically these guys vibrate your body, your diaphragm, to create the sensation of being in front of a massive, massive sound system. And like probably most of you out there, when I first heard of this concept, I was kind of meh, you know, like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But I got to tell you, once you try this and once you see the benefits that some of these objects can provide to both your DJing and your mixing and your music buying, you might be sold. So today I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to show you the different ways in which you might use wearable bass augmentation devices in the studio, on the stage, or at home. Dance music is all about the low end, especially the bass below 100 or 200 hertz. That's the part where the kick and the bass live that really vibrates your entire body. And it's really the vibration of your body that allows you to hear and feel those low ends. So it's very hard to replicate that in a physical space because you literally have to move a lot of air, which requires huge speakers. These bass augmentation devices create the same effect, allowing you to hear those low, deep, punchy tones by not vibrating the space around you, but vibrating you, the person. By coupling with your body and using transducers that are inside of here, it actually will vibrate your frame so you hear and feel everything down to the very, very lowest frequencies. So the very first concept that came out was this guy, which basically goes in your chair. You don't wear this. It sits in a chair and you lean against it. So it comes in contact with your back. This is really useful for browsing tracks on Beatport. So if you're trying to find tracks that are really going to hit in the club, well, you can't browse Beatport in the club. But with a device like this, you can really feel and hear the low end, unless you had a massive sound system in your home, which I doubt you do. And if you did, you get kicked out of your apartment. So that's what the Sub Pack is really great for in that respect. The second group of people that might be really interested in this are producers. If you're doing a mix down of a big dance track and you want to know how your bass is hitting, you can A/B those tracks you know you're working in the club with the track you're working on, using something like the Sub Pack in your studio, and get a really good sense of how well that bass is moving. Again, you would literally need to have 2 or 3 16-inch subwoofers in your space to get the same experience as you would with this device. So that's the seated style of bass augmentation device. The next ones we've got are these wearables. So SubPac has a wearable, and the BassAware is a wearable. And these guys are pretty straightforward. They also couple with your back, but you put them on like a backpack. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge that this does look a little bit goofy, but I got to say, the results are worth the goofiness. So in this particular guy, you've got a clip here that will clip onto your belt or your pants or whatever you want, and there's going to be a line that comes in from the mixer and then goes out to your headphones, and then your headphones go straight in. Both of these models have battery packs. This guy has a battery pack inside of it. This one has the battery pack on one side. And so you can be completely wireless. All you need is to have, let's say, your iPhone or your mixer in front of you, cable going into the input, and a cable going out into your headphones. This one, the BassAware, I gotta say, wins points on the style concept here. If we can get into it. It's got some holstery-like components to it. Makes me want to... But I'm digging the style of this one. The SubPac is a little bit more neoprene, and the straps are kind of flimsy. You know, I'm going to reserve and hold back on full reviews of each of these devices until I really use them a lot in the club. So the full review and the head-to-head battle between these two devices is going to come later. In this video, I just want to show you the concepts and sort of get you familiar with why in the world you would want to even consider investing in something like this. Speaking of investing, these are not inexpensive. We're talking about around $200 to $300 for each of these devices, up to $400 for some of these wearables. Not exactly cheap. But when we're talking about saving your hearing and creating an amazing mixing experience, I gotta say, it's completely worth it. For me at least, maybe it is for you as well. One of my favorite examples of how you can use these bass augmentation devices is actually performing live on stage, which is how I've personally been using this one lately, and I really like it. Here's the main reason. I personally am a huge advocate for DJing with in-ear monitors. So these are monitors that go inside of your ears and block out up to 40 decibels of outside sound. And when coupled with your ear, these offer an incredibly high level of fidelity and precision in the mix. Additionally, because they're blocking out all that outside noise, they save your ears. So this is huge for me. After nearly 20 years of DJing, a full set with near-field monitors turned up to 11 just crucifies me the next day. So I love mixing with in-ear monitors, but one of the challenges has been the bass. You can see these things are tiny. They don't produce a lot of bass. They do produce a lot of very clear mid and high ranges, and that's where things like the SubPac really shine. So what I've been doing is taking a single 1/8" output straight into the SubPac input, which then feeds this guy, and I can adjust the intensity of how much bass is delivered there. And then I put my in-ear monitors straight out of that, clip it onto my belt. And I really like this because it keeps a lot of distance and a lot of length between me and the mixer. I can go dance around side to side, do jumping jacks, whatever I want to do in the DJ booth, and then I'm super, super locked into the mix. The combination of in-ears with bass augmentation, oh man, I've never gotten so excited about my DJing before. So that's pretty much it with me and my goofy straps and my goofy backpack. If you would like more crazy DJ technology like this, visit us on the website at djtechtools.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty stoked about that video. Just thinking about the various ways we're leveraging technology today, in particular mobile technology. Because if you think about that, I don't know how many of you have actually been to an IMAX theater to sit down in the chairs where they're interactive chairs. They have the vibrations going on and the various sounds coming not only from the speakers around you on the walls, but also from the chair. This is a simulative augmentation process as well. But when you think about being able to create that same augmented process through bass simulation for DJs to sync up their music more efficiently as they're transitioning from one beat to the next or one song to the next, whether it's a party or in the studio. That's pretty fascinating. And so with that, the ability to leverage technology in my mind is endless. So why don't we head over to C-STEM Break for a live discussion, and let's talk about the video, what you guys got, and how this video may impact the creativity that comes out of your minds and comes out of your students' minds during the process of creating your tech tool for the C-STEM challenge. So I'll see you there.
Hello and welcome to the CSTEM training. Everyone is an artist and engineer. 2014-2015 energy infrastructure, wind, oil, and natural gas. This is going to be for the middle school and high street training for today. I am Felipe Resendes, your instructor for today. And that's a picture of me in the near future. Just kidding. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them at the end of the training at the in the blog. Academic Year Pacing Guide. Today is November 15th. Students will conduct research and finalize proposed strategy using related software programs, tools, and resources. Our next session will be December 6th, so please keep that in mind. And hopefully by then, you have students will question, reflect, and collect resources to design a prototype solution for the problem. Today's training outline, we're going to be talking about pairing the Cortex microcontroller and VexNet joystick. That's basically the brain, and in my opinion, one of the hardest things to work with. You usually have students that are able to build the structure pretty quickly and get the hang of it, but it's the actual pairing and connecting and actually programming the Cortex so it can react according to what you need that presents itself as a challenge. So today we're going to be talking about briefly, for those of you that are new, what is pairing, components that you need to make a successful pairing, the VexNet Cortex explained in detail, the VexNet joystick explained in details, step-by-step instructions on pairing the controller to the joystick, options 1, options 2. We're going to give you some examples of how to test the pairing before you assemble everything and realize that it doesn't work. It's very frustrating and have to disassemble stuff because it is not it's not performing as you want it to. And finally, we're going to go over troubleshooting pairing flowchart and give you some little extra tips. What is pairing? The joystick must first be paired to the Cortex microcontroller before they will work using the VexNet keys. This process must be completed each time you use a joystick or Cortex with a new mate, basically a different joystick or a different controller. A joystick can only communicate with a Cortex that's been paired with. During the pairing process, the ID from the Cortex is transferred to the joystick, thus mating the two units together. So now these two are paired, basically like we do now in Bluetooth with your cell phones and speakers, etc. Components that you will need for pairing today, you're going to need a VexNet 7.2 volt battery, which is this here on the left, fully charged. Please charge them before you do this, very important. 6 AAA rechargeable batteries as well, fully charged. A VexNet ARM Cortex-based microcontroller, this is your microcontroller, and your VexNet joystick. And finally, 2 VexNet keys. These are the 802.11g transmitters and receivers. They send the wireless signals to each other, and that's why we no longer have any wires connecting to the robots. VexNet Cortex explained. This is a front view of the actual Cortex. Here's where your 802.11g VexNet key goes in. It's a little slot. And you would also use the USB tether. We'll show you a picture later on today if you want to pair it using the USB. Sometimes USB tends to work a little bit better and faster, but it's just optional. For high school serial communications, you have any type of serial communications, you would plug in here. Motors and servos, if you have any motors and servos, they're going to be placed on these ports 1 through 10. You will only use ports 2 to 9 with 3-pin motor controllers. The rest are used for other examples. Keep in mind, always make note of where you're plugging in your motors, especially if you have multiple motors. You got to know which port is plugged to. So when you're programming, you get a reference to that particular port, and you'll see the numbers right here on the edge. Your battery goes connected here. Again, your digital input and output. Some of your digital input and outputs go here. If you wanna, if you have like a limit switch or a push button, they're gonna go here. And some of the other analog, like your line tracers and light sensors, etc. So are gonna be placed up here in the Cortex. Very simple. Just this is your basic structure. Going off, here's your on-off switch right here. This is how you power it on and turn it off. You always want to make sure it's off when you're not using the robot or it's not doing competition, because it will drain the battery even though you're not running the joystick. Your battery goes 7.2 volt battery goes placed here. You have a backup battery. You use a 9 volt square battery. It helps you when you are running out of power doing competition, etc. Helps you communicate wirelessly and give you that last push and commands there towards the end. Configuration button, you're not going to use it unless you're going to reset the Cortex. We're not going to be used for special procedures as well. If we have to reload the firmware for the Cortex, you're going to be using this button. Those little plugs here in the middle are very important. They keep all your components and motors. You can see them right here in place when you plug them in. They will keep those connectors in place, snug and fit. Easy to lose. Be very careful. And your 75 megahertz crystal interface ports are right here in the middle. Will not be used. Your VexNet joystick, kind of like a Xbox or a PlayStation game controller. You have your buttons up on top, 8 of them, 4 on each side, and they're numbered 7, 8. As you can see, everything is numbered on your joystick 1, 2. You have your 2 XY analog joysticks, and again, horizontally, if you're going to program it, it goes this way. If you're going to push it forward, it's this way, and your number 3, 4, etc. accordingly. You have the on-off switch here on the front, and you have your 4 button on the front side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can actually program to open claws or do special functions, servos, or run other motors and other functionality that if you don't want to be messing with the buttons. So you can program anything in you want at your discretion accordingly. It just depends. You have to make note of the actual numbers. Your programming interface is up here. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. And this is also a 3-axis accelerometer, XY tilt, XYZ accelerate, and shake as well. You can program those particular commands. Your joystick buttons are not buttons, but the actual LED lights here are very important. The very top one is a joystick battery status, and if you're using fully charged batteries, they're going to be turned green. If you see it yellow, then your batteries are 9. Red, they're completely dead. Robot battery status. This communicates. This is basically your VexNet controller. It tells you the status of the Cortex in this joystick. Also, the communication link. Has communication been established or not? This is your 3rd button. And finally, your VexNet game mode. This is basically if you're ready to run at game time, it's going to turn green. Again, green, good charge, yellow, 9, red, dead. VexNet communication established means that it's green, and yellow, it's searching. And also, lights on the controller and the joystick are the same, so you're going to see the exact same lights on the controller as you're going to see on the Cortex. Parent instructions start by connecting the 7.2 battery to the Cortex and actually the VexNet key here in the center. Remove the cover, a little screw here, very important. If you lose the screw, in some cases, some joysticks that we had in the past, very difficult to find, very, very, very unique little screw. Some of them, they've done them so it doesn't come out anymore, but if you do you can probably put some tape or something over it just on the bottom here just to keep the cover secure, or your batteries will pop out. Cover and screw the cover back in place. Add the VexNet keys to the front and to the top, and remember you have to have the battery plugged in here. It's not shown. Parent instructions, a valid link is as shown. You're going to get a valid where it says Vex. If it's paired, you're going to get a valid link light. The VexNet light will blink as fast, a fast green on both units. The robot link light, which is the one right above it, will blink green, be mostly on both units when using fully charged batteries. So this is your robot basically communicating with the controller. The robot light. It will take about 10 to 15 seconds for the link to be established. The joystick light will be solid green when fully charged batteries. So again, fully charged batteries will be lit, and this one's the main one, and they'll be solid green or blinking. I'm sorry, if this is the one you need to keep an eye on. So once they're green, you're good to go. Typically, the top 3. If this fails, turn them off. Do it again. That is option number 1. Again, this is how it would look, a successful parent and ready for game day. Robot, VexNet, you guys are good to go if you see these lights. All right. Current option number 2 is very simple. Believe it or not, plug in your battery. Have your batteries in your controller and do the same thing as you do with the Vex keys, but use a USB cable. It's that simple. Follow the instructions, turn them on, wait the same amount of time. The testing, by default, you're going to get some code automatically set on your controller. You can add motors to run a test. Plug VexMotor plug VEX motors plugged into motor port 2 and motor port 5. So you can see, you're going to see 2 and 5. With the default code, push the joystick channel up. One motor to turn clockwise. Pushing the joystick up on channel 2 will actually turn counterclockwise, because remember, one's going to be on your right side and one's going to be on your left side. So if you you have to keep that in mind. It will one rotate one way and the other will rotate the opposite way. And try out and sample what happens if you change direction, etc. Is it going to go forward? Is it going to go backwards? Is it going to turn, etc. So keep that in mind. It's a challenge for you guys to do and learn. Motor reversing. The default code allows jumpers or switches to be installed in the digital ports to invert the motor direction. This is useful to correct the direction of motors without changing code, or when using a switch to reverse a motor if the robot hits an object. The following picture shows motor reversing jumpers installed on 2 and port 5 on reverse, 2 reverse motors, ports 2 and 5. So you have your motors here on 2 and 5, and then you have a little jumpers, and some of your kids should have these. And all you do is put them in there, and they'll reverse the motor rotation without having to use any programming skills. That's just a little tip, I guess. It should have been on tips over here. Limit switch again. The default code allows jumpers or switches to be installed on the analog ports to limit certain motor directions. These are useful for stopping motors when an arm bottoms out. A limit switch plugs into analog 1 will stop motor 6 from turning counterclockwise when activated. A limit switch plugged into analog 2 will stop motor 6 from turning clockwise when activated. So again, if you put your motors on 2 and 6, this will stop the motion. This will stop the motions of the motor. And again, limit switches, when something hits this button, it turns off, becomes a 0. When it opens up, it's a 5-volt reading on your voltmeter. So open 5, close 0, and that's how we get the digital signals. Troubleshooting, very simple. I have a link here that you guys can actually, let me run this really quick, and I apologize. Troubleshooting the VexNet flow chart. If you have a problem, just follow the flow chart. Very self-explanatory. Nothing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but if you're having problems pairing, this is the way to do it. Does the Cortex turn on? Yes or no? If no, check the battery. If yes, is the LED on the Cortex constantly red? Yes. And just follow the flow chart all the way through, and it'll give you all the available flow chart techniques. If you still have a problem, then you might have to reinstall, and I'm pretty sure it's listed here, reinstall the firmware, and that's something that we need to do with Robot C, and might require some special attention and needs and stuff. But as you can see, very good little flow chart if you want to perform troubleshooting techniques if something's not working. Okay. Extra tips, you have some little line trackers. That's what they are. If you guys have not had a chance to go through your kit, this is your line tracker. If you have a line, it'll basically trace it. And also, if it's black or white, it'll stay within that medium. Analog line tracker, the ultrasonic rangefinder. This uses a pulse of sound. As we can't hear it, but it will stop if it reaches an object. We've used these before. Very cool little things to program. If you're trying not to hit an object, the robot will actually turn back if it detects a hand or something, a wall. It will do it. It will perform reverse motor functions pretty well, or any other function you program it to. Optical shaft, as the shaft spin, this will tell you how many rotations they've done. In which direction. It tells you if it's turning clockwise or counterclockwise and how many degrees it's turned, 360, 720, and it keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And you can track, you can tell it to go 3 steps and then stop, or vice versa. Analog light sensor. This is a light sensor. It detects the light and how dark or wide a room is. You have a potentiometer. This is also very similar to an optical shaft, but it only rotates, I believe, 280 degrees, and it actually counts and to a very exact precision degree. It allows you to program. So say you have an arm that's extended and you want it to stay extended, say at 105 degrees, this will actually tell the motor, and if it drops below that 110 degrees, it will ask the motor to move up or throttle down a little bit so the hand drops down. Very cool little potential meters to use with your robot. Your digital limit switch on and off, and also your bump switch. So if it bumps, it actually sends a signal. And again, it's also digital. Programming your robot, you'll be using RobotC to program your robot. Again, RobotC is a programming language used in education, robotics, and competitions, and other applications. Thank you for your time today, and I hope to see you on the next training session, December 6th.